Okay, so today we are going to talk about interval. If you still remember, interval means it's like the distance between two notes. Now we're gonna take a look about interval based on the major scale. Okay. Now you already learned about major scale. The formula is, still remember? W, W, H, W, 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 H. Now let's take a look on C major scale. Okay, C major scale. This is Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, what's the distance between C to D? Is whole. Okay. D to E is whole. E to F is half. F to G is whole. G to A is whole. A to B is whole. B to C is half. Now, when we want to talk about interval based on the major scale, of course, we need two notes. Okay. Now, so what would be the second notes that we use as the comparison? In here, we are going to use the root, which is C. So, if C major scale, what is the root note? C. Okay. Now, let's say we put the root note over here. Another C, 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 and C. Okay. Now, when you see like this, okay, the name of the interval is always stays the same. So, C to C, the interval is perfect 1. Okay. Now, C to D, the interval is major second. C to E, the interval is major third. C to F, the interval is perfect fourth. C to G, the interval is perfect fifth. C to A, the interval is major sixth. C to B, the interval is major 7. And finally, C to C. But in here, the second C is higher by 1 octave. That's why we call it as an octave of perfect eighth. Okay. Now, all these names P1, M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8 always remain the same. So you need to remember this. Okay. If let's say you have an assignment or maybe like quiz or test, you need to find the interval. So what you need to do, first of all, you need to figure out what is the major scale. Once you find the major scale, the second thing you need to do is to find the interval. Now, because we want to find the interval between two notes, the root will be the comparison notes. Okay. Now, once you find a comparison, this name is always stays the same. The P1, M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. Okay. Now, let's say if you want to talk based on the semitones. When we talk about semitones, still remember what does it mean? So semitones is basically it's like the distance between one note to another note is just have like one chromatic, okay, or sometimes we call it as a half step. Now when we talk about tone, so basically we have two chromatic, or we call it as a one step, or sometimes people also call it as a one tone. Okay. Now let's go back to here. C to C, if the note is the same, is there something in the middle? Nothing, right? Because it's the same. So the semitones is 0. Is it correct? Now, C to D, is there something in the middle? So what note is the middle? You have C, after that is C sharp, then D. Okay? So when you have something in the middle, this is like one semitones, two semitones. Okay, so C to D, how many semitones? 2 semitones. Now let's say C to E, how many semitones? You have C, after C is C sharp. After C sharp is D. After D is D sharp. After D sharp is E. So when we want to count how many semitones, we just count from C to C sharp is 1, C sharp to D is 2, D to D sharp is 3, D sharp to E is 4. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. The answer is 4 semitones. Okay. Now if let's say from C to F, so the next semitone is C sharp, followed by D, then D sharp, then E, then F. There's no E sharp in C major scale. Okay, so if you want to count the number of the semitone, it's gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer is 5 semitones. Now you will do exactly the same until you reach the P8. Okay, now for C to G, basically you have 7 semitones. C to A, you have 9 semitones. C to B, you have 11 semitones. And finally, C to higher C, you have 12 semitones. Now, next thing, if you look at on the screen, you will see there are a few rules that you need to follow. The rule is saying about any major interval decreases by a semitone becomes a minor interval. Any minor interval decreases by a semitone becomes a diminished interval. Any major interval decreases by a semitone becomes an augmented interval. Any perfect interval decreases by a semitone becomes a diminished interval. And any perfect interval increases by a semitone becomes an augmented interval. Now let's try to take a look on each of these rules and let's try to prove it. Now, so to do this one, same thing, I need to draw the major scale first. Now, to make it easier and simple, we will be working based on C major scale. So, C major scale, the first note is C. The end note is C. Okay, so I'm gonna write here. Okay, same thing, we know this is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now let's put the comparison note, which is the root note. This is C, 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 and C. Now when we want to do to check what is the formula, to find the formula, C to D is W, D to E is W, E to F is H, F to G is W, G to A is W, A to B is W, B to C is H. Now based on this one, we know just now we already take a look, the interval, this is P1, this is M2, this is M3, this is P4, this is P5, this is M6, this is M7, and this is P8. Now, based on this C major scale, basically is any kind of major scale, how many major interval in a major scale? We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4. Is it correct? So, we have major second, major third, major 6, and major 7. Now, let's try to see the rules. The rules is saying if any major interval decreases by a semitone becomes a minor interval. So I have 4 major intervals, which is M2, M3, M6, and M7. Okay. Now if I want to decrease, usually we always base on the second note. Now C to D, which one is the second note? D is the second note, right? So I will put a flat here because I want to decrease by a semitone. Now, without the flat, okay, without the flat, this is basically is a major second. But after we decrease it by a semitone, it becomes minor second. Okay. Now, same thing. When you see over here, C to E is major third. However, if we base on the rules, there's a flat over here, which is we always base on the second note. Don't get confused with the first note. So when you need to do something, you need to flat it or you need to sharp it, you always change the second note. The first note always stays as is. Okay. So without the flat, it's major third, but once you have a flat, it becomes minor third. Now same thing also goes for the C to A. C to A is major 6, but when we want to decrease by a semitone, then we put a flat over here. This becomes minus 6. And then C to B is major 7, but because we want to decrease it by a semitones, then we put flat here, it becomes minus 7. Okay, now let's take a look on the second rules. The second rule say any minor interval decreases by a semitone becomes a diminished interval. Now over here, we already see that C to D flat is minor second, C to E flat is minor third, C to A flat is minus 6, and C to B flat is minus 7. Okay, now this is already a minor interval. However, if we want to make this minor interval to be decreased by a semitones, which accidental do we need to add on? We need to put another flat, correct? So remember, we learned about different kind of accidental. There's a double flat, there's like double sharp, there's sharp, flat, and natural. So in this case, which is already a minor interval, to decrease it by another semitones, we're gonna put another flat over here. So we put another flat here, put another flat here, we put another flat here. So the rules say minor interval decreases by a semitones becomes a diminished. So this becomes diminished second, this one becomes diminished third, this one becomes diminished 6, and this one becomes diminished 7. Now let's take a look on the next rules. The next rule say any major interval increases by a semitone becomes an augmented interval. So same thing, we're gonna be working again on C major scale. Then let's draw the C major scale again. Okay, C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Let me put here, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now we know the distance is W, W, H, W, 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 H. Now let's put the comparison note, which is the root note. This is C, 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 and C. Now let's take a look again. Put this one is P1, M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. Now we know there are 4 major intervals, which is M2, M3, M6, and M7. Now the rule says if major interval increases by a semitones, it becomes an augmented interval. So what would be the accidental we use to increase a note by a semitone? We are going to use sharp. Okay. Now same thing, you see there are 2 notes. There's a first note and there's a second note. However, when you work on this one, you always put the accidentals based on the second note. You will never touch the first note. So the first note stays as is. Only the one that's gonna be changed is the second note. So I'm gonna put sharp over here. I put sharp, and this one I put sharp, then I put sharp. Now without the sharp, C to D is major second. With the sharp, it becomes augmented second. Now same thing from C to E, without the sharp is major third. With sharp, it becomes augmented third. C to A, without the sharp is major 6. With the sharp, it becomes augmented 6. C to B, without the sharp is major 7. With the sharp, it becomes augmented 7. Okay, let's move on to the next rule. The next rule say any perfect interval decreases by a semitone becomes a diminished interval. Now, how many perfect interval do we have in the major scale? So basically, we also have another 4, which is this one, 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Now, the rules say if perfect interval decreases by a semitone, it becomes diminished. So same thing, I'm gonna put the flat next on the second note. I put here, I put flat here, put flat here, put flat here. Why I put flat? Because we want to decrease by a semitone. Okay, now C to C without the flat on the second note the interval is perfect 1. However, because there's an we decreases by a half step, it becomes diminished 1. So this one, same thing. C to F, if without any accidentals, is a perfect 4th. However, if you decrease by a semitones, it becomes diminished 4. Now C to G, without any accidentals, the interval is perfect 5th. However, if you decreases by a semitones, it becomes diminished 5th. And same thing, C to C, an octave higher without any accidentals. This is we call as a perfect 8th. However, if you decreases by a semitones, this is becomes diminished 8th. Now we're gonna see the last rules. The last rules say any perfect interval increases by a semitone becomes an augmented interval. So same thing, I'm gonna use based on C major scale. I will draw the C major scale. Okay, this is Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C to D is whole, D to E is whole, E to F is half, F to G is whole, G to A is whole, A to B is whole, B to C is half. Okay, now let's put the comparison note, which is the root C, 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 and C. So the interval will be, this is P1, this is M2, this is M3, this is P4, this is P5, this is M6, this is M7, this is P8. Now we have 4 perfect intervals in a major scale, which is P1, this is 1, and then P4, this is 2, and P5, this is 3, and P8, this is 4. Okay. Now the rules say any perfect interval increases by a semitones is an augmented interval. So same thing, I'm gonna increase the second note. The first note will stay as is because this is the root and as a comparison. So to increase the note, we need to put sharp. So I put sharp over here, put sharp over here, sharp over here, and sharp over here. So C to C, if let's say the note is exactly in the same positions, it is P1. However, if we increase C to C sharp, okay, this is become augmented 1. Now C to F without any accidentals, this is perfect 4th. However, if there's an accidentals at the second note, which is a sharp, it becomes augmented 4th. Now C to G without any accidentals, this is perfect 5th. If we increase the second note with a sharp sign, it becomes augmented 5. And then finally C to C, which is an octave higher. If let's say there's no any accidentals, this is perfect 8th. However, if there's an accidental, which is the sharp at the second note, this is we call as augmented 8. Now let's do some exercise. Okay, let's say I have this note, I have this note. Okay, let's say we have this and we have this. Now, what note is this? This is F, correct? What note is this? This is B. What is the interval between F to B? Now, if let's say you are not very sure, how can you find the answer? Okay, same thing, you need, remember, you need to draw the major scale. And we always base on the bottom note. Okay, so you have two notes, the bottom and the top. This bottom note will be your root note. So to find out what is the interval between F to B, we will have to draw based on F major scale. Now F major scale, the beginning note is F, the end note is F. So I put F over here. G, A, B, C, D, E, F. This is F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now let's check. F to G is whole. G to A is whole. A to B is whole. B to C is half. C to D is whole. D to E is whole. E to F is half. Now we know the formula of major scale is W, W, H, W, 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 H. Now we want to check whether this is correct or incorrect. And if let's say this is incorrect, how can we fix it? Okay. Now F to G is W, and this is also W, which is correct. G to A is W, and this is also W, which is correct. A to B is W, however the formula say is H. Now how can you make this W become H? Which accidental to use? Flat. Very good. Now we need to put flat. However, should we put the flat on A or should we put the flat on B? B. Very good. Now when you need to change something, you never change the first note, because the first note you need to stay as is. If you change the first note, the rest will change. Okay, that's the reason why we always change the second note. So we're gonna put a flat here, we put a flat here. So A to B flat is H, is no longer W. Now B flat to C is W, is no longer H. Now C to D is W. Okay, D to E is W. E to F is H. So the note of F major scale is F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. You need to ensure that you get the notes correct before you move to the next step. Now next step, what you need to do is, you do exactly the same like how I showed you previously. So this will be P1, this is M2, this is M3, this is P4, this is P5, M6, M7, and P8. Now when we see over here, okay, the question is asking about the distance between F to B flat. Okay, however, do we have B in here? We do not have B, right? But what would be the closest note to B? B flat. What would be the next closest note to B? C. Correct? We have this one, we have this one. Now we know F to B flat is perfect fourth, F to C is perfect fifth. If let's say I want to use based on this one, okay, so F to B, perfect fourth, from B to B flat, from B flat to B, is it going up higher or going down lower? B flat to B basically is increased by half step, correct? So the rules say if it is a perfect interval, increases by a half, by a semitones, it becomes okay, I'm gonna repeat. If it is a perfect interval, okay, increases by a semitones, it becomes augmented. Very good. So instead of having it as a perfect fourth, F to B is become augmented fourth. Now let's see the second example. What note is this? This is D, this is C. So what is the interval between C to D? Okay, same thing. If you are not very sure, so what you need to do is you need to draw the scale. Now, we are going to use D major scale because D major scale is the one that located at the bottom. So D major scale, this is C, this is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So same thing, D to E is a whole, E to F is half, F to G is whole, G to A is whole, A to B is whole, B to C is half, C to D is whole. Now D major scale. The formula of a major scale is W, W, H, W, 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 H. Now we see D to E is W, which is correct. Now E to F, this is half, but the formula say it should be W. Now how can we make half become whole? Which accidental should we use? Sharp. Very good. Which note should we sharp? Should we sharp E or should we sharp F? F. Very good. So I put F sharp. F sharp, this one becomes whole. Now F sharp to G is whole. It's the same. Now G to A is whole. A to B is whole. B to C. Okay, this is half, but the formula say it is whole. So which accidental should we use? Sharp. So I will sharp this one. I sharp this one. This one become whole because this is C sharp to D. This is no longer whole, but this is as a half. Now same thing, I'm gonna put the interval. This is P1, this is M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. Now we take a look over here. C, do we have C in a major scale? There's no C in a major scale. However, we have C sharp. Okay, now C sharp to C, is it increases or decreases by a semitone? It decreases by a semitone, correct? Now, the C sharp itself is a major 7, correct? Now, the rules say, if a major interval decreases by a semitone, it becomes minor interval. So instead of having it as a major interval, D to C is minor 7. So the answer for this one is minor 7. Now let's do the next example. So what note is this? This is G. What note is this? This is E sharp, correct? Now same thing, if let's say you are not sure what is the interval between G to E sharp, so you need to draw the major scale which is based on the lower note is G. Now I'm gonna draw G major scale. Okay, this is G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G to A is whole, A to B is whole, B to C is half, C to D is whole, D to E is whole, E to F is half, F to G is whole. Now the formula say, okay, major scale is W, W, H, W, 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 H. So this is G major scale. Now let's take a look. G to A is W, so it's correct. A to B is W, it's correct. B to C is H, it's correct. C to D is W, it's correct. D to E is W, it's correct. E to F is half. However, the formula say it should be W. So how can we make this half become whole? We have to sharp. Which note should we sharp it? The F, the second note. I put sharp here. Put sharp here, this is no longer half, it's become W, and F sharp to G is no longer W, it becomes half. Okay, now once you finish the major scale, you ensure the major scale notes are correct. The next thing is you will put the interval. Okay, same thing, it's just a repetition. This is P1, this is M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. Now, do we have E in here? We do have, right? But do we have E sharp? There's no E sharp, but there's E. Now, G to E, what is the interval? It's major 6, okay? Now, I know I have E, however, I do not have E sharp. Now, E to E sharp, is it increased or decreased by a semitone? It's increased by a semitone, okay? Now, we know G to E is major 6. Now, the rules say, if a major interval increases by a semitone, it becomes augmented. Very good. So, instead of having it as G to E is a major 6, G to E sharp is augmented 6. Now, let's do the last example. So, the last example, what note is this? This is C. What note is this? This is A flat. Okay? So, same thing. If you are not sure what is the interval between C to A flat, which major scale do you need to use? C major scale. Why? Because this is located at the bottom and we use this one as the root. Okay? Now, let's draw. C major scale. This is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C to D is whole, D to E is whole, E to F is half, F to G is whole, G to A is whole, A to B is whole, and B to C is half. Okay, so C major scale. The formula of major scale is W, W, H, W, 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 H. So because this is already the same, so it shouldn't be any mistake. Okay. Now, next one is we're gonna put interval names on each note. So this is P1, this is M2, this is M3, this is P4, this is P5, this is M6, this is M7, and this is P8. Now, the example is showing it's like between C to A flat. However, do we have A flat over here? No, we do not have A flat. Okay, but if we close the accidentals, it's A. Do we have A over here? Yes, we have A. Now, A to A flat, is it increases by a semitone or decreases by a semitone? Decrease by a semitone. Correct? Now, major interval. Okay, major interval, if decreases by a semitone, it becomes minor. Very good. So, C to A itself is a major 6. However, if there's a flat, because this is major 6, decreases by a semitone, it becomes minor 6. So, we put over here the interval is minor 6. Now, we already talked about the interval. Now, we want to talk about inversion. When we talk about inversion, basically, it's just like you flip the notes, okay? The bottom note becomes the top notes or the other way around. The top note becomes a bottom note. Now, inversion, there's a formula. The formula, say 9 minus interval. Okay? Now, is equal to inversion. However, because this is an inversion, okay? So, the interval will change. If, let's say, original interval is a major interval, because you inverse, it's gonna becomes minor interval. If, let's say, the original interval is diminished, once you inverse, it becomes augmented. Now, if, let's say, the interval is perfect, when you inverse, it stays the same, which is perfect. Now, let's take a look on the previous example. I have this example, I have this one. Let me divide so it's clearer. Now, we know F to B is augmented fourth. When we inverse, what's going to happen? There are two possibilities. The B goes down or the F goes up. Now, let's put the F goes up. Now we know F to B is augmented fourth. If we inverse B to F, what is the answer? Now you look at here, augmented. If you inverse, it becomes diminished. So you put diminish, and number 9 minus 4 is 5. The answer is diminish 5. Now let's take a look on the other one. C to D. C to D, the interval is minus 7, right? Is it correct? Now if let's say we want to inverse, let's bring up the D to the top. So D is here. So D to C, what is the interval after you inverse? Same thing, you go back to the rules. Minor becomes major. So this minor becomes major. I put major over here. 9 minus 7 is 2. So the answer is major second. Let's take a look. G and E sharp. We know G to E sharp is augmented 6. If let's say we inverse, okay, either we want to put the E sharp down, or we want to put the G at the top. Now let's say I put the G at the top. Okay, this is G. Augmented, when we inverse, becomes diminished, right? So E sharp to G is diminished. And then 9 minus 6 is 3. So the answer is diminished 3. So this is diminished 3. C to A flat. C to A flat, the interval is minus 6. However, if we inverse, let's say we put the C at the top. Okay, this is C. So A flat to C, the interval is, you go back to the rules, minor becomes major. 9 minus 6 is 3. So the answer is A flat to C is major third. Now we want to talk about chords. So what is chords? Chords basically is a combination of 2 notes or more. So in order for you to build a chords, you need at least 2 notes. Okay, can you put more than 2 notes? Yes, it is possible. Now the chord itself is divided into 2 big categories. There's triad, there's 7. Now when we talk about triad, that means the chord has 3 notes. When we talk about 7, that means the chord has 4 notes. Now chord itself, it has like different kind of quality. Okay, you may see like major chords, minor chords, and maybe like dominant chords. Now major and minor is usually we use for the triad, and then when we talk about dominant, usually we use for 7. However, is there major 7 chords? Yes. Is there minor 7 chords? Yes. But we're gonna take a look one by one, little by little. Okay. Now let's try to work on the triad chords, which is for major triad and minor triad. Now in music, there's a formula. Now when you follow the formula, you can build any kind of major chords or any kind of minor chords. Now the formula for the major triad chords is root, major third, and perfect fifth. Now the formula for the minor triad is root, minor third. Sometimes people put flat 3 and perfect fifth. Now let's take a look. Let's say C major triad. What is the root? C. What is the major third from C? Is E, right? Now, what is the perfect fifth from C? It's G. So, in order for you to build a C major triad, what are the notes you need to press? There are three, which is C, E, and G. Okay, now let's move on. Let's say you want to build an F major triad. Now again, we refer to the formula. The formula say, in order to build a major triad, you need to have root, major third, and perfect fifth. So what is the root of F? Is F. What is the major third of F? Is A. Now what is the perfect fifth of F? It's C. Okay, now let's do one more example. We want to do G. Now G, same thing, we're gonna follow the rules, which is root, major third, and perfect fifth. So G, the root is G. Major third from G is B, and perfect fifth from G is D. Now, how can we prove if this is correct or wrong? Let's try. Now we are going to draw a major scale. Okay, so major scale is always like the fundamental of a lot of things. Now for the C triad, let's draw the C major scale. This is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now let's check whether it's correct or not. We know this is C to D is W, D to E is W, E to F is H, F to G is W, G to A is W, A to B is W, B to C is H. Now the formula of a major scale is W, W, H, W, 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 H. Okay, so this one is definitely correct. Now let's put the interval. This is P1, this is M2, this is M3, this is P4, this is P5, M6, M7, and P8. Now P1 basically is the root. Okay, now the formula say, in order to build a major triad, you must have root, major third, and perfect fifth. Now, C major triad, the root is C. Major third is E, correct? It's the same. And then perfect fifth is G, is the same. Now, we want to prove the F major triad, whether the note is correct or not. Now, because we want to check the F major triad, I'm gonna write the F major scale. Okay, it starts from F and it's gonna end on F. So this is F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. F to G is whole, G to A is whole, A to B is whole, B to C is half, C to D is whole, D to E is whole, E to F is half. Now the next step is we need to check whether this is correct or not based on the formula of major scale. Now this is whole, it's the same. This is whole, it's the same. This is whole, this is half. So what should we do to make this whole becomes half? We need to flat it, right? So we're gonna flat this one. We flat this one, it becomes half. Now B to C is half. Now it's no longer, because this is B flat, it becomes whole. Now C to D is whole, which is correct. D to E is whole, which is correct. E to F is half. So the F major scale is F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. You need to make sure the scale is correct first, then you move to the interval. Now you're gonna do the same thing. This is P1, this is M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. So P1 is the root. Now the formula of major triad says is to build a major triad chord, you must have root, major third, and perfect fifth. So F, the root is F. The major third is A. And then the perfect fifth is C. So the F major triad note is F, A, and C. We want to take a look on minor triad. Now the minor triad, the formula is root, minor third, or some people also say flat 3 and perfect fifth. Okay. Now you have the major triad over here. The major triad, this is the root, this is the major third, and this is the perfect fifth. However, if we want to build C becomes C minor. The root is C, the major third is E, but the formula say is flat 3. So instead of having E as a major third, the flat 3 is E flat. Then the perfect fifth is G. Same thing for the F minor. So from A, F major triad, we want to build F minor triad. It becomes F, A flat, because the third note we need to flat it, and then C. And for G becomes G minor, the notes will be G, B flat, and D. Now let's try to prove. I'm gonna prove C minor triad. Now we draw the C major scale. So this is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. This is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now this one definitely already correct because we have been using for a while. So we know C to D is whole, D to E is whole, E to F is half, F to G is whole, G to A is whole, A to B is whole, and B to C is half. Okay. Now once you already get the major scale correct, you put the interval inside. And now we know this is P1, M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. So C, the root is C, correct? Now M3, which is major third, the note is E. However, the formula say the second note you must use the flat 3. E is the third. The flat 3 should be E flat, correct? Without the flat, this is major third. With the flat, major becomes minor, correct? The formula say if any of major interval decreases by a semitone, it becomes minor. Okay, so this one should be E flat, so it becomes minor third. And then finally, the perfect fifth is, you see over here is G, then this is G. Let's prove the F minor. Now same thing, if let's say I want to ensure whether it's correct or incorrect, I'm gonna draw the F major scale. So F major scale, the first note is F, the end note is F. So let's start from F. This is F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now let's check whether it's correct or not. This is F to G is whole, G to A is whole, A to B is whole, B to C is half, C to D is whole, D to E is whole, E to F is half. Now let's check the formula. W, which is the same, W is the same, and this is W, but formula say this is H. So what should we do to make this W become H? We need to flat it, correct? Now let's put flat over here. This is become B flat. This one we change, instead of W become half. And this one instead of half becomes W, because B flat to C is a whole. Next one, C to D is whole, D to E is whole, and E to F is half. Now once you get the scale correct, the next step is to put the interval based on the scale. Now the interval gonna be P1, M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. If you notice, the interval is always the same. Okay, but before you put the interval, you need to ensure the scale is correct. Once the scale is correct, the interval should be correct as well. Now, P1 basically is the root. So F, the rules say the minor triad formula is root minor third, or you also can use flat 3 and perfect fifth. So F, the root is F. It's the same, right? Major third of F is A. However, the rules say if a major interval decreases by a semitone, it becomes minor interval. So instead of having A, because we want to decrease, which accidental should I use? Flat. So the answer is A flat. Okay, so we want to make it become flat 3. This becomes A flat. Next one, perfect fifth. Perfect fifth of F is C. That's why we have C over here. So the notes for F minor triad is F, A flat, and C. Now let's move on to the 7 chords. So 7 chords, basically we just need to put one more notes. Now we know for the triad, major triad is root, major third, and perfect fifth. So if let's say we want to use major 7th, the formula will be root, major third, perfect fifth, and major 7. Now for the minor 7, the formula will be root, minor third. You can also use flat 3, perfect fifth, and minor 7, which is flat 7. Now for the dominant, in here we say as a dominant 7. However, in the practical, usually people just say the 7. Okay, major 7 and dominant 7 is two different things, so don't get confused. Dominant 7, the rule is root, major third, perfect fifth, and flat 7. Now over here, we have the C major triad, the F major triad, and G major triad. If let's say we want to make this major triad becomes major 7, okay, I'm gonna put here, usually for the major 7, the symbol will be capital M. Some people, they also put a triangle. The meaning is the same. Now let's go back to here. C major 7, the rule say is root, which is C, major third is E, perfect fifth is G, and major 7 of C is B. Now, can we prove this one? Let's try to prove. Now, I'm gonna draw C major scale. So this is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C to D is W, D to E is W, E to F is H, F to G is W, G to A is W, A to B is W, B to C is H. So same thing, the formula of a major scale is W, W, H, W, 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 H. Okay, this one is already correct. Then I'm gonna put the interval. This is P1, M2, M3, P4, P5, M6, M7, and P8. Okay, now the root of C is P1, which is C. The major third of C is E. The perfect fifth of C is G, and the major 7 of C is B. So the answer for C major 7 notes are C, E, G, B. Now let's try to build a C minor 7 chords. C minor 7 chords. Now the formula say in order to build a minor 7 chords, you must have root, minor third of flat 3, perfect fifth, and minor 7 of flat 7. Now the root of C is C. The major third of C is E. However, the formula say instead of having it as a major, it should be minor, which is flat 3. So E is the third. Flat 3 is E flat. Now the perfect fifth of C is G. And finally, for minor 7. Now in major 7 chords, we are using B. But because the formula say it must be minor, okay, it's not major 7. So major to minor is like increases or decreases by a half step. Decrease by half step. Now decrease by half step, which accidental should we use? Flat. So this is B flat. So the answer for C minor 7 is C, E flat, G, and B flat. Next one, let's try to do C dominant 7. Now C dominant 7, there are two ways to write. Some people they write C dominant 7 like this. Some people they just write C7. Okay, when you see C7, this is automatically you need to refer to C dominant 7. Now C dominant 7, the formula say is root, major third, perfect fifth, and flat 7. Okay, now the root of C is C. The major third of C is E. The perfect fifth of C is G. The flat 7, which is the minor 7 of C is B flat. So the answer for C dominant 7 or C7 is C, E, G, B flat. Now let's do another example. We know the F major triad, the note is F, A, C. How about F major 7 triads? What are the notes? Okay. Now again, we always refer to the formula. Now in order for you to build a major 7 chords, you must have root, major third, perfect fifth, and major 7. So F major 7, what is the root? F. What is the major third of F? A. What is the perfect fifth of F? C. What is the major 7 of F? E. So the answer for F major 7 is F, A, C, E. Now let's move on. Let's say we want to build F minor 7. The formula say for the minor 7 chords, you must have root, minor third of flat 3, perfect fifth, and minor 7 of flat 7. So F, the root is F. Minor third of F or flat 3 of F is A flat. The perfect fifth of F is C. The minor 7 or flat 7 of F is E flat. Why E flat? Because E is a major 7. And then we want to have a flat 7, which is E flat. Next one, let's try to do F dominant 7 or F7. Now same thing, dominant 7 rules say you must have root, major third, perfect fifth, and flat 7 or minor 7. So F dominant 7, the root is F. The major third of F is A. The perfect fifth of F is C. And finally, the minor 7 or flat 7 of F is E flat. So the note for F dominant 7 or F7 is F, A, C, E flat. Let's do one more example. Okay, we're gonna do the G. G major triad is G, B, D. Now, if let's say we want to build G major 7, so what will be the notes? What is the root of G? Is G. What is the major third of G? It's B. What is the perfect fifth of G? It's D. And what is the major 7 of G? It's F sharp. Okay. Now, let's build G minor 7. G minor 7, the formula is root, minor third of flat 3, perfect fifth, and minor 7 or flat 7. Now the root of G is G. The minor third of flat 3 of G is B flat. The perfect fifth of G is D. And the minor 7 of flat 7 of G is F. It's not F sharp, okay? Because F sharp is the major 7. However, F sharp, you goes down by a semitone lower, it becomes F. You also can mention it as a F natural, okay? So either you say as F, or if let's say you want to be clear, you can put F natural. Now let's try to build the G7. So G dominant 7 or G7. The rule say is root, major third, perfect fifth, and minor 7 or flat 7. So G, the root is G. Major third of G is B. Perfect fifth of G is D. And minor 7 or flat 7 of G is F. If you want to be clear, you can also put F natural. So the note of G dominant 7 or G7 is G, B, D, F natural.